Here's what's on tonight on the box seat. We talk about the recently concluded NZB Standard Bred 2025 National Yearling Sales. Jacob Dunn is live after recording his first winner last Friday night. Canadian superstar driver Yannick Gingras is live with us on the box seat. Dexter Dunn speaks to Greg about the upcoming Ultimate Drivers' Championship. We catch up with leading USA trainer Nancy Takter. Michael Guerin is back to talk about what has been happening in the world of harness racing. All of that and more on the box seat.
Yes, we've got a bit to get through here tonight over the next hour. Welcome into the box seat. Greg O'Connor has once again joined me here on the show. Greg, fresh off the back of you touring, I guess, around the country with the NZB National Standard Bred Yearling Sales. What were the vibes like, as I say? G'day to you.
Yeah, g'day Matthew. Massive. I mean, it's always a great barometer as to where the industry's at, but what happened at Karaka on Saturday and again at Agricultural Park in Christchurch today is a clear indication that things are going pretty well. Both the averages up both days by 20%, just enormous, and we'll talk more about that very shortly.
And we'll hear from Paul Kenny and Ken Brecken, who played a major role with their Woodlands and Brecken brands there in the north, along with all of the stats as well from both days. First of all, though, we take a look back on the week that was.
At 360,000. Goes online, 360,000 a Stonewall stud, ladies and gentlemen. At 360,000, well done. I sell for 360.
Headed down south to the land of the pines.
Drawing clear, Don't Stop Dreaming, and the Kiwi Star back into the winners list takes out the Terrain Co-op Terrain Cup.
Headlights.
Captain Hammerhead in the Murray Cup turns. Swayze needs to left. Down the home running. Captain Hammerhead. Swayze's still coming back for more. It's Captain Hammerhead in front by 2. Swayze's going to lunge late, but I don't think he'll get there. And Captain Hammerhead has beaten Swayze in a phenomenal race. Tonight belongs to Dave Moran, has now taken out the Murray Cup and thwarted Swayze's dream.
Sophia Rose sitting down, Sophia Bromac, Melton Magnate flies the centre, here comes the post, and I reckon Jacob Dunn might have done it. Has he got there? You bet he has. Jacob Dunn with his first driving win aboard Sophia Bromac, number 13.
Welcome to the winner's circle.
Yeah, thank you. Right with that, I can't get a smile off your face. It's good to get that out of the way. They say the first one can always be the hardest, so to get it out early is good. Got the Dunn name, so hopefully it's the first of many.
Running from the cold up in New England.
Here comes the stalker, Grease Lightning up on the outside of Invisible, who's got a very good kick here. Grease Lightning, Invisible. Grease Lightning for the first.
You know, he's definitely got a lot of ability there, and I think his best attribute at the moment is his speed. I think maybe even if we were 1 out 3 back, he may have still been able to round them up. So that's always a nice thing to have. We know Merlin's got a lot of speed. Hopefully this guy's just got as much.
Dance Till Dawn, Audacity flying. Dance Till Dawn. Dance Till Dawn will win it.
You feel, hey, mama, rock me.
She swings to the outside, Practical Magic along the passing lane. Here's Hidden Talent, she's booming home. She's a great mare, 3 in a row, and Hidden Talent will bolt in. Hidden Talent first.
Mama, rock me.
Hacksaw Ridge in such a twist. Bobby's Rocket, great finish to the cup, but in such a twist. In such a twist has won from stablemates Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah, looked a great day down there at Gore. Congratulations to Ricky Gutzel getting the Cornella in the feature, and great to see Hidden Talent so dominant there as well. Right, let's get straight into our chat about the New Zealander Bloodstock Standard Bred National Yearling Sales, which concluded today at the Agricultural Park in Christchurch, Greg. And as you said, the vibe was good across both days, and the stats, to be fair, are looking pretty good as well.
Yeah, we'll get a chance to have a look at those, Matthew. It started nice and early. Here is the official results. The aggregate there up over $7 million. The average up from 45 last year to 52, so a significant move there. Clearance rate excellent, the median up as well. Obviously we'll talk about the feature lot, 270,000 for the Better's Delight out of Imagine Me, which was purchased by Kentuckiana. Just an enormous performance considering the horse numbers, and they were down about 57 on last year.
Well, I think important there as well around that clearance rate. So it's at 74 now.
It'll get closer
versus
to
last
80.
year. So 68 was confirmed last year.
The final amount.
So
yeah.
it could get to 80 by the end of the weekend.
Pretty confident that will happen.
So that's going to make it look pretty good in that respect. And here is, of course, the combined of them both, Auckland and Christchurch, and that's looking pretty decent compared to last year. And again, that clearance rate, if it gets to 80, up 10% on last year potentially.
Yep, superb sale across the board. Reflection of where the industry's at. The top lots, of course, we'll get to those Auckland ones very shortly, where we had within 3 lots a new record, and then that record equalled. But here was today's figures. So the Better's Delight Imagine Me, prepared by Laura Smith. She did an incredible sale once again. Kentuckiana purchased that 270. Underbidder was Dean Shannon as Montana Park. They were both very keen on this colt. Obviously the Captain Treacherous Kensington Kate, great to see Barry Purdon, Scott Phelan going down that family line again. 250,000 for her. Paul Renwick's farm, they prepared the Always Be Mickey colt there that they actually bought. They didn't own it, so they purchased it outright, and it's from a really deep family as well. But this was the number one on the day, lot 139, so up nice and early, and a good old-fashioned battle to find out who was going to get out on top. Crandall-Giddy's Kentuckiana did, after they were underbidders on both the top lots out of Auckland. Here's the Kensington Kate filly. Again, this was nice and early in the sale, and at this point I thought, oh yeah, well, she could make 200, but bang, she got to 250 very, very quickly. Know this family very well. Obviously, Barry Purdon and Scott Phelan know it very well. It's the Duchess Megxit family, and yeah, they were keen to get involved again, and congratulations to them.
Taffy, good sale. Studholm, obviously they present wonderful stock each and every year, and I guess the new addition in some ways, Pat Driscoll's Yabby Dam Farms, and by the looks of things, he'd be pretty happy with how it went.
Yeah, had a chat to him about why he was going about this the way he has, and what the last 2 sales, the $240,000 they sold up in Auckland, and then again today, another of our top lots. It'll just encourage him to be more heavily involved. He's going to send more mares over. It's just all things are more positive towards New Zealand harness racing, and he wants to be part of it.
And I see the Kiang Zahara crew have swapped gates.
Yes, they have.
And they purchased Marketplace's sister.
Yeah, that's right, Marketplace's sister, $190,000 for her. Of course, George Simon was there along with Mary Ann and Buff McKenzie, and they just are enjoying an incredible ride with Cullen, who alongside, of course, Tony Barron. A big sale for Tony and Cheryl Barron. Congratulations to them. Yeah, they did very well. $190,000 for that filly, who's already worth a whole lot of money, even if she doesn't make the racetrack. The Adore Me colt and I suppose the Captain Treacherous influence on the sale, both at Auckland and down here in Christchurch, was quite apparent, wasn't it? It was enormous. You would think that out of this colt and of course the colt out of Better Twist, which was only 3 lots later, it'll be really interesting to see which one ends up being the better, if indeed any of them do. But gee, they've got a real chance to become a stallion if they do.
Well, if they put together, say, the record of Marketplace as a 2-year-old, go on and win a derby, all of a sudden we'd be looking back in hindsight and saying $360,000 wasn't a bad investment after all, but I personally wouldn't be outlaying that much for a horse, let alone 2. But Stonewall starred 16 across both days. Crandall-Giddy got 8 at Christchurch plus 3 up there at Auckland Diamond Racing. Obviously purchased a few as well, and Kennard Bloodstock along with the Cullens were pretty active too. Let's get to Paul Kenny though and hear what Woodland Stud thought about the magnificent sale of the Captain Treacherous colt out of their glamour mare, Adore Me.
It's a lot of work gone into it over about 3 generations, so we're proud of it. We're very relieved, but we brought a really nice horse to the sale. And when I was talking to Ken and Karen Brecken beforehand, I said, you know, be hard to split the prices. I think they're 2 very nice colts. He was a colt that needed to go to the sale ring. And I think somewhere there's a line that says perfect in every respect. He had it all. The way he was put together, his temperament matched, and his x-rays and scope and everything else were all flawless. So we were very, very proud to present him for sale. No, we couldn't be happier where the colt's gone. We went to congratulate them. They're great salesmen as well, because we've kept a small share in the horse.
So here's the Woodland Stud top 5 lots. Adore Me, obviously, to Stonewall Stud, 360. Cullen Racing Stables, they had a bit of coin to spend across both days, and they picked up some nice lots, including the Down by the Seaside out of Better Be a Lady. Diamond Racing Stables with the Down by the Seaside out of Spirit of Delight. Lincoln Farms also went with the Down by the Seaside factor, as did Morris McKendry. And I watched that sale, and Morris certainly wasn't budging on the Down by the Seaside out of Some Do. Congratulations to Woodland Stud. They support our industry from every corner, and great to see them get the rewards. As it was for Brecken Farms, we obviously saw with their new barn complex at their base that they have the confidence in the industry going forward, and they took a very good draft to the sale up there in Auckland, and that, Greg, was headed up by the captain treacherous out of Better Twist.
Yeah, that's right, $360,000 equaling that record. Again, another great example of the standardbred, and no surprise to see it get close to top lot, but to equal it was nothing short of outstanding. Some great judges, obviously very keen on getting him, and yeah, Stonewall, well, they just had too much firepower again.
By a freak out of a 3-year-old filly of the year that pretty much won everything. She's obviously closely related to King of Swing as well. So again, we're seeing that residual value if it's able to put together a record as a stallion. Well, Ken Brecken has put the sales behind him once again with Karen and the entire team, and here's what he had to say over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, what's outstanding, of course, gone to the same buyer, so very exciting. We've got to thank Stonewall Stud. I mean, they are investing heavily in the game. To Steve Stockman, you know, he's to be applauded. It's just fantastic, the confidence he has in the game. I look, from virtually the day he was born, you know, he stood alone, he stood out from the rest. You see these horses, you know, they do their own thing, but when they want to mix it with the other guys, they get out of the way, you know, and he was just a typical, no dirt in him, you know, on his own for a while, didn't mind leaving mum early. And, you know, he challenged the other boys, and they got out of their way real quick. So he's sort of picking wood, and I think that's the staff will tell you those early signs. You start to see the good horses. And I would have liked to have got the nose in front, but, you know... would have been nice, would have been nice, wouldn't it? It's just to rub their nose in it, but no, they're great people, and we're very fond of them. So, no, it's a great result for both of us.
$87,900 was the average for Brecken Farms, their top lot, the Better Twist Colt. The tactical landing out of Love Your Doozy, obviously for Stonewall Stud. They spent a lot of money on the trotters across both days, did the Stonewall team. Captain Treacherous, Delightful Cass, closely related there for Kennard Bloodstock. The Ellie Mack, Captain Treacherous to Lincoln Farms, and the Tall Dark Stranger out of Good Looking Gal, $130,000. I guess now they're reaping the rewards. I know there's been some years where maybe Ken and Karen have walked away maybe wanting the average and the clearance to be a wee bit higher, but I guess that this will be one of the more satisfying ones.
Oh yeah, they were absolutely thrilled. Spoke to both of them today at Addington and in Christchurch, and yeah, they were over the moon. I think it was 23 of the 36. Still business being done on some of those. Ken pretty confident that most of them will end up being in homes, and yeah, it's just a magnificent sale for them, and a fair reflection of them changing a few things over the the last couple of 3 years, and yeah, they're being rewarded now.
And the Hollis Robinson equine had a good sale again too.
They're just terrific preparers of yearlings and horses in general, so that's no surprise to me at all.
Yeah, they averaged 94,000 across 7 lots, and that was the leading average up there at Auckland. I'm sure there'll be more to come, with some more tidbits to come from the National Yearling Sales, but we'll put that behind us and we'll take a look back on Friday night. And Jacob Dunn picked up his first win aboard Sophia Bromack, and he's joined us here live on the box seat. Jacob, welcome to the show. Have you got yourself off cloud 9 yet?
No, not quite yet, Eddie. Still massive thrill, and yeah, can't get over it.
Hey, congratulations to you, Jacob. A massive thrill for you. Mum and Dad weren't there. They were already in Auckland for the first day of the sales, and had a chat to both of them today. And yeah, your mum particularly was very, very proud. We're just taking in the footage of you getting Sophia Bromack home. It was her 10th career win. Talk me through the last sort of 400 or 500 metres, and did you actually think you'd got up on the line and beating one of our all-time great drivers?
No, actually, out wide there, it looked like Sam had me beat, but you know, I was wide from the 600, but she stuck on and really found the line.
Yeah, of course, Ricky May ended up grabbing second just ahead of Sam Otley, who set a record herself, of course, over the last season. But that photo on the wall with the gold cap of Ricky May just to your inside, I don't think that'll one will be coming down for too long. I hope you got a good deal out of AJ Berry for that one.
Yeah, no, that photo is always going to be up on the wall now, Greg. No, it was just great pleasure out there, and yeah, just good to get that win.
Jacob, I know I've discussed it with you around were you always going to go into the horses, and you did go away from it from a wee while, but you're back in your happy place now?
Yeah, no, so I was plumbing for 2 years. I did enjoy that, but horses was just always there for me, and I really found the love again, so I've come back to them.
How does it kind of work with Dad, I guess? He's obviously dad, boss, mentor at the same time. Does it kind of work out well, the relationship you've got going now that you're out there as well?
Yeah, it works out quite well, you know, especially with RJ up north when you go up there with him. But no, we're all working together well as a family in that, so it makes it easy. And
you've got Granddad Craig there as well. I'm sure he would have been chuffed for you too.
Yeah, Granddad, he was wrapped. He wasn't there either, but he was the first one to call me after, and he was stoked.
So we've seen your dad, Jenna, your mum and RJ pretty active at the sales over the last couple of days, replenishing the stocks. Have you got something for the punters at home that maybe we haven't seen at the trials or workouts yet that we can keep an eye on in the coming months?
We do have 2 nice 2-year-olds that actually trialled last Monday, and we'll be looking, I'd say they'll trial again and then looking to race.
All right, we'll keep a close eye on that. Thanks for joining us, Jacob. Hopefully that was the first of many, eh?
Yeah, hopefully. Cheers, guys.
I'm sure it will be, Greg. He's a pretty cool customer as well, Jacob, much like we see with the likes of Carter Delgetti as well. They're nice and relaxed, and they take that out on the track, and it shows.
Well, look, he just handles himself. Look, he got interviewed pre- and post-race for that, and at one stage, I was actually sitting in that seat, Matthew, and I looked away, and if you weren't watching, you would have thought that was John Dunn speaking. His mannerisms were exactly the same. He spoke really well. He said it's fun at the moment, and that's what he's enjoying about it. Yes, it does get serious, and it is a professional game, but he's really enjoying that side of it. He's got his first win, inside his first 4 or 5 drives. I think it was his 4th drive. He's going to get a heck of a lot of opportunities. He's great mates with Harrison Orange. I was talking to him on the radio about that and how inspirational in many ways that's been. They both came through kids' carts, and gee, that whole kids' carts evolution, if you like, you know, from your partners, Cherie, to Guerin, to the list just goes on and on. Even to Jacob's father, John, I remember him driving Buster Musician out here when it was a pony. And, you know, that is, I know a lot of them do have the family name, and that's what gets them into the game, but it's bringing a whole lot of other people in too. And, yeah, it's an important part of the future.
And it was a good drive too, because personally, if it was me, I would have cut cords at the 600 metres and I would have been sending her on a bit of a mission, but he's been pushed out, never panicked, just let her coast around the bend. Yeah, you don't often see too many juniors pull that off at that stage of their career.
Yeah,
nice work. Okay, well, very shortly we will be hopefully chatting with Yannick Gingras, who has joined us on the line. Welcome to the box seat, Yannick. How are you enjoying your tour down under so far?
Oh, I love it, actually. You know, it's been a great time all the way around. New Zealand was we spent 4 or 5 days in New Zealand. It was really good, and now we're in Noosa Head, so it's beautiful here.
Yannick, when did this Ladbrokes Ultimate Drivers Championship come on the radar? And when you've driven as many winners as you had, and I think you're up over 9,000 odd now, and got plenty of accolades, you've been inducted into the Hall of Fame and the like. When you heard about this concept, did you think, right, that's another challenge, I need to be part of this?
Yes, for sure. You know, I thought the concept was great. The idea to compete, you know, against driver from all around the world, it's always exciting. I thought, not just for me, for anyone, you know. So that's something that really I wanted to get involved into, and you know, one thing after another, it led to you know, it worked out even better with, you know, Mark Weaver and, you know, Jamie and Jake and obviously Ron Burke. So like it was a perfect setup.
Tell us a little bit about your relationship with our man. We call him our man, Dexter. You've been to Kentuckiana, I know. How is he received over there? We know him as a 10-time premiership winner. He's a good friend of yours, I know, and obviously you go head-to-head with him out on the racetrack. But just how big has the Dexter Dunn factor become in the States?
Oh, it's obviously very big. You know, he's driven a lot of winners. He's a great driver. But like you said, you know, he's a friend. Also for us, it's outside the racetrack. That's the part I like the most about Dex is, you know, we can compete. You know, sometimes it goes your way. Most of the time it doesn't go my way. But, you know, still after the races, we can have a good time together. To me, that's the key. You know, there's a lot of great drivers, obviously, Dex being, you know, at the top of the game right now. But, no, there's a lot of others. But the relationship that we have outside the track is what makes it more fun.
Yannick, you're going to go head-to-head with Dexter and many of the world's best drivers this weekend. How do you kind of prepare for it? Do we expect to see you get the lean on as much as you do over in America?
Well, I'm not actually known for too much of a lean on. You know, Dexter's got the lean on, so you know, I lean a little bit, but I've never actually been called once in the United States for leaning too far back. So. I'm not one of those, but yeah, it's going to be exciting. You know, you got guys, you know, all the respect in the world for Bjorn. I think, you know, I responded to someone on social media yesterday about like if Pacer would be a problem for him, and absolutely not, he will not. You know, he's a great driver. I've seen him drive Pacer in the past, and I'm excited to compete against Bjorn as well.
We've obviously had some very good horses here from the Southern Hemisphere come and join you guys, and I guess one that we all hold very near and dear to us is a horse called Lazarus, who you were able to have an association with over there in America. What are your memories of him? What sort of horse was he when he was up there?
It's really a shame because I think his first start, he was unbelievably good. You know, I qualified him. I was really exciting. His first start at Hoosier Park, it was a really great mile that he went, and he got sick after that, and he was never quite the same. And then he didn't get to show in the U.S. what he showed here, obviously. And I believe that's the race you're showing now. That was his first start, I believe it. He was really meant. I think he was a way better horse than he showed the American people, and that's it's unfortunate, really. But you know, he was a different horse there, though. Like, he had the speed that, you know, I heard when he came from here, that was a concern that he was more of a stayer and he would maybe have a problem with the mile distance. It was really not a problem for him there. Like I said, only I think the sickness is what stopped him.
You've also obviously had an association with Foiled again, a horse now that we're seeing come through our stallion ranks, Tall Dark Stranger, and Father Patrick started to hit his straps over here as well. Gee, you've had some good ones along the way.
It just means I'm getting old, I think, you know, like when you start seeing broodmares and broodmare sire, and like I used to make fun of David Miller many years ago, tell him that he was old, that he drove the grandmother, but I'm that guy now, so I'm not liking it as much as I used to when I was busting on David.
Hey Yannick, thanks so much for joining us. Really insightful. We could sit here all day and chat to you, but good luck to you. Well, in some ways we wish you good luck. We'll be cheering for Dexter, but we look forward to seeing you take him on and trying to knock the Kiwi boy off his perch, if you will.
I would say good luck to Dax. He's going to need a lot of luck. That's the way I look at it.
I love your confidence. Have a good weekend.
All right. Thank you.
Great stuff. Gee, it's going to be, as soon as those helmets go on Friday and Saturday,
White line fever.
Those competitive juices, I reckon, will be higher than they've ever been.
Yeah, they will. It's a quick track, Albion Park, 1,000-metre circuit. Horses that these guys won't know. It's going to be off the charts, I reckon, some of the races, and maybe the local drivers might have an advantage.
How do you think Carter's feeling?
He's excited. He's really excited. He wants to show that he's up to it, so good luck to him.
Yeah, throw in Bjorn Goop, Gary Hall. Gee, it's going to be a ripping contest. I'm not sure how they can put out a market for it, though.
Oh, it's just really difficult because the fields are out for both, and I think there's 19 races have 10 starters and there's one with 7, so they'll obviously work out some points around that. But, gee, it's going to be one heck of a contest, and so many, the local drivers, the Nathan Dawsons, Leader Peter, Angus Garrard, they might have a bit of advantage because they know what these horses can do. So, yeah, you might have to factor that in if you're having a bet.
Well, one man who will be playing a big role, I am sure, is Dexter Dunn, and here's part 4 of his chat with Greg, where he gives us an insight into the upcoming Ladbrokes Ultimate Driver Championship.
Dex, you've been involved in a number of driver series over the years, world drivers as a junior obviously as well. What excited you about the Ladbrokes Ultimate Drivers series when you first heard about it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, didn't really know, obviously didn't know it was happening when Adam Hamlin rang me about it, so, you know, I was excited straight away. You know, obviously being involved with the junior drivers championships when I was younger, and then obviously 3 World Drivers Championships, so I know what those weeks are like. The people you get to meet, the competition on the track, you know, it's a lifelong memory. So, you know, I jumped at the chance to be able to represent Ladbrokes and be a part of the challenge. I'm looking forward to it, definitely, and there's a few familiar faces I'll be competing against as well. So, and obviously not racing in, you know, in the Southern Hemisphere for 6.5 years, it's going to be exciting as well. I always like a challenge, and it's going to be taking me back in the day, but it's going to be a brand new challenge altogether.
All right, you've been to Brisbane plenty of times, driven at Albion Park. In fact, just before you left, you drove a Black Safate one.
Yeah, no, I always, you know, I always liked going to Albion Park and racing. Had some really good success there. So, you know, winning the Black Safate just before I moved to America, last time I've been there. So we're hoping we can step that form onto this weekend, the weekend coming up. But yeah, it's a great place to race horses. It's a pretty fair track, I think. From what I remember racing there, it was always a good place to race.
Right, you've got 9 drivers to compete against. A number you know very well, Yannick Gingras, a guy you obviously spent a fair bit of time with. It's pretty cool to have him down under. Yeah, definitely. Yannick's he's a great fella. He's been at the top of the sport over there for a number of years now. You know, he's aggressive. He's a hard competitor. You know, he's tough to race against. But you know, it's good to have him down there. Obviously, Bjorn Goop was on 2 of my World Drivers Championships, and I got to race with him in the elite lot in Sweden 2 years ago. So we got to have him there as well. And then obviously the old familiar faces from this side of the world. Yeah, Kate Gath being one of those, and young Carter Dalgety. I know you got to drive with him on his trip there through our winter. How special to have him part of the series? Yeah, it's going to be great to have you know, Carter a part of the series and race against him and compete against him. Like a little brother to me, known him since he was 3 years old when I walked in the gates here, Greg. So it's going to be a lot of fun on and off the track for sure. And obviously, you know, Kate and Andy Gath, you know, a huge part of my development when I was a young kid working in Australia. So have them there and Kate competing as well is going to be, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We have to change your style. I mean, obviously you had to change it significantly when you went over to the States. Coming back, it's different. Obviously they're racing over 2 distances at Albion Park, the 1660 and the 2138. The bikes are different, so it's going to be different. Yeah, I sort of been telling myself I'll be okay. I jumped straight back into racing back here, but you know, I sort of forget because it's gone pretty quick for one. But it's been, you know, over 6 years since I have raced down under. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'll be okay. I'll be able to jump back into the swing of it pretty quick. But maybe I'm kidding myself. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll find out, won't we? But you know, hopefully I can, you know, represent Ladbrokes well, represent myself well, and you know,
do good in the competition.
Do you see these types of slot races as the future? Not the total future, but do you see more of them?
Well, I don't see any part of the competition as a negative, Greg, for racing. You know, it's created this one tournament, this one challenge coming up has created a hell of a lot of interest, especially down here, but also worldwide. So it's a great concept. It's innovative. You know, it's something new. It's different. I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on it. See how it goes, and people are going to be fascinated and really interested in watching it. Why not? Why can't it be something that takes off and gets going? And you know, obviously not just down here, but maybe it might take off somewhere overseas, or you know, North America, Europe, something like that. You know, I think anything with, especially with harness racing, that participants from around the world could get involved in one spot and compete against each other is nothing but a bonus.
Albion Park Friday and Saturday night, the Ladbrokes Ultimate Driver Championship. Dexter Dunn and Gary Hall Jr. along with local hope Nathan Dawson at $5.50, current joint favourites. And I'm sure that once the confirmation of drivers come out, Greg, this market might make somewhat of an adjustment.
Yeah, look, the slot holders, many of them have their own form people to, because basically the way it works is they do a draw to find out who gets the first pick in race 1. They get second pick in race 2, third pick down to the 10th, and then they do the same for the second set. So basically they're going to rank every race 1 to 10, and then once they find out what order it's going to be done, which is being done tomorrow, it's going to be really interesting to see how that all sort of works out.
Look forward to seeing it. It just adds to the atmosphere. Craig the Whale Thompson is along with what's caught his eye and what's in the catch and release file. Evening to you, Whale.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Great to be joining you on the box seat on a Tuesday night. Tell you what caught my eye. New date for harness racing in the north next season. Anniversary day, we head to Taupo on the grass track. I tell you what, on the back of Hara in the last fortnight, the grass track numbers were great. And this is a perfect venue. Obviously, the grass track, it's utilised mostly for the gallopers, but it's a really good circumference. And I do think being anniversary day, they're going to a decent crowd there, obviously with the concerts and the festivities on at this time of the year and the holiday makers. So good on HRNZ putting a date on for Taupo. We need more grass track racing in the north, and I think this has come at a really good time. Tell you what, the catch this week, boys, is a lovely 2-year-old qualified the other day at Winton. 2-year-old down by the seaside, and tell you what, she covers the ground. She's had 2 trials, one workout super impressive. This is Princess McAndrew at the Winton trials the other day. 156 for a 2-year-old. Now this one's down by the seaside. We've already seen it down by the seaside and Show Me the Tan Line, so impressive at Addington a fortnight ago. This one trained by Jeremy Douglas. 156 home at 58 and won by 16.5 lengths. Do like her. I think she's a horse to follow, and she certainly goes in the black book. Release this week, well, I tell you one, a little bit disappointing. Blair Orange, short price favourite on Superfast at Waireo the other day. Drew Barrier 1 got a beaut trip in the trail. It's in the Brian Norman colours. You see at the top of the lane, it's in the trail and it's drifting. Now, it went out a very short price favourite, as it did 3 starts ago when Carter drove at Forbury Park, and the 5-year-old mare by Washington, or 7-year-old mare by Washington VC, she just didn't quite finish it off. She's won 5 races, she's got the ability, but we can't quite take the shorts at the moment. Great show, Matt. Of course, we've got Whale Watch on Thursday. Look forward to doing that. Back with you guys on Friday Night Lights. We're going to take a break here on Trackside 1. On the other side, we're going to talk to Nancy Takter.
First time on a down under trip, so I'm really excited to be here. It's been a great week so far. You know, we've had a few down under horses through the years. You know, they're pretty prevalent in our overnight racing at home right now. So, I mean, I do get to see quite a bit of down under horses race. It's about 80 horses right now, most of them being 2-year-olds. We have about 45 2-year-olds this year, and then the rest are 3 and up. We actually have nothing racing right now, so it's kind of just a lot of monotonous training work, but it's quite exciting, and hopefully, you know, in a few short months we'll be back on the racing circuit. I've been walking around, and the yearlings are absolutely beautifully sales prepped. You know, they look comparable to like what our yearlings would look, and a lot of them are bred similar to our horses. You know, you have Better Light mares and Art Major mares that are being bred to North American stallions. You know, my family, I think, has trained 5 or 6 stallions that are represented in this sale. So it's nice to see prodigy that I've trained, you know, and have them have horses go through the sale down under. Kind of makes you think a little bit that what we're doing in New Jersey has such a big impact on the sport of harness racing just worldwide. Obviously, Dex has done really well, and Todd and Andrew McCarthy do really well, you know, on our side. They're, you know, 3 biggest drivers that I use quite a bit. So I think people have a lot of, you know, respect for the down under trainers and drivers. I mean, the trainers do well over there, Chris Ryder, Brett Pelling, and Nifty Norman. So you're well represented over in the United States, and I think it's nice too because you seem to have like a younger generation that's interested in horse racing that maybe we don't so much have in the United States. So, I mean, for my part, I need these down under drivers to come over because we're lacking on top drivers a little bit on our top circuit. So if anybody wants to come, I have some horses you can drive. Being away from the cold is definitely a plus. But really just spending a week in New Zealand, went to Christchurch, like Tekapo, Queenstown, and then flew up here to Auckland for the sale. I got to train horses on the beach with Johnny Dunn, which was really cool because we don't have anything like that in the United States. And then tomorrow we're heading to Hamilton Island for a few days of relaxation, which will be really nice. And then head to Brisbane for the Ultimate Drivers Challenge.
Greg, for those that don't follow North American harness racing, this lady is phenomenal.
Well, look at the strike rate. 127 wins from just the 476 starters. Some of the horses he may have heard of. Manchego, outstanding. As we know, Dexter often talks about that horse. Captain Crunch, tactical approach. There's been a few, and well, she's bred to be quite good. Jimmy Takter's probably the most famous, one of the most famous trainers in the history of harness racing.
Michael Guerin's joined us. Michael, welcome to the show. Was that your first encounter with Nancy?
Evening to you boys, and big hi to all our viewers. No, it's not actually. I was lucky enough when Lazarus was with Jimmy and Nancy was in a transitional phase there, starting to take over the stable, to go up to New Jersey. That footage you saw there, we took that day. That's on their famous straight track where they never get the horses up to full speed. They have them just ticking over at about 75%. Spent the day there with them. Jimmy, an absolute legend. Nancy was telling me he's retired these days. He's down in Miami, a bit warmer. And Lazarus had a beautiful home there. As Yannick said earlier, didn't quite get to see the best of him in the States, but they are phenomenal trainers and phenomenal horses. But I think she was pretty impressed by some of the horses she saw the other day, fellas. Great sale at Karaka. I didn't see that coming because all the sales, harness or gallops so far in the world, which have all been in the Southern Hemisphere, obviously because of its summer here, have had drops in percentages. So there's been percentage drops in total turnover, averages, everything's been down, and that's everywhere. It's nobody's fault. But to have both harness sales, fellas, exceed so well, has been really, really impressive. It's a hell of a job from NZB Standard Bred. They've gone out and they've sought these Australians who didn't get as many horses as we thought, but they were underbidders on lots of horses, and underbidders are crucial for sales because an underbidder can turn a $200,000 horse, as we saw today at Canterbury, to a $270,000 horse, or even up to a $360,000. That was a magical 7 minutes on Saturday at Karaka. I think we still have, like every sale I go to, apart from probably the English Easter sale for the thoroughbreds, you have a market where there's people who get upset because they can't sell their horses, and you have that 20% to 25% of horses who aren't going to be sold. But that's pretty much most sales in the world. And you then say to yourself, well, why is it a big issue for harness racing? Well, because you don't have the scale or the secondary places to sell them from sometimes. You don't have a ready-to-run sale. Maybe that's something we need to look at. But what we do have, of course, is if you do take that horse home and you don't sell it before the end of the week, fellas, you have the option to race it early season. Get it into training, get it into work, try and win these early bonuses for 12,000 or another 5,000 from the next gen. A lot of people, Greg, you were there today in Canterbury talking about next gen. Even if it's not that bigger monetary value, I think it just created a different wave of enthusiasm. So I thought we saw over the last 3 or 4 days, gentlemen, the next part of the end game for harness racing and everything that Entain and Harness Racing New Zealand have done. I think all of that sort of bubbled over, Greg, in the last couple of days.
Yeah, I think so. I think the positivity which flowed from Karaka down to Christchurch and all of those things you talked about. Next gen, there was a great example of that today with Carter Dalgety, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing just how that evolves.
Michael, just before we get to our talk about Leap to Fame, I guess in conjunction with what we're seeing at the sales with North Island trainers in full force, and you weren't on the show last week when we spoke about Mark and Nathan Purdon making their move to the north. From an Auckland perspective, how important are those two factors going forward?
I think they were always going to buy horses because Barry and Scotty have had such a great last couple of years. There's enthusiasm, obviously, at Stonewall Stud to really go after the top of the market horses, and let's not try and even remotely undersell what Steve Stockman is doing there. But by far the more important factor, because the punters don't really care about most of the horses they're betting on. As long as there's racing on, they might have a go. Addington to Alexandra Park doesn't matter as much to them. What matters is, in the last 5 years, Auckland Trotting Club has rung several young trainers and tried to get them to come up. They went hunting for a Nathan Williamson. They've gone to Australia and hunted for young trainers. They needed somebody to come up and have 20 or 25 or 30 horses and name recognition. They didn't even dream they could get Nathan Purdon. That was off the list. That was not going to be happening. The fact that Nathan Purdon, with his dad Mark, is now going to be bringing the brand back to where it started is the absolute most important, best possible result of any human being in the world moving to Auckland for the Auckland Trotting Club. It's just that simple. It could not be better. Now, Mark is, yes, a little bit distanced to the side these days, but this may reinvigorate his interest. But if you could have got anybody, maybe Cran and Carter Dalgety, but they were never going to move. But if you could get anybody in the world to move there, they got the right person and the right dad.
Right, let's talk Leap to Fame. Newcastle Mile this week.
Look, really smart move. Grant Dixon has decided to go here to give him 2 weeks into the Miracle Mile. And because he declared that really early, he said, I'm going to go. It scared a few away. Now, Max Delight was really good at 148 and change the other day, and we know how good Sure Thing Captain is. But quite simply, these horses aren't in the same class as Leap to Fame. Grant's very smart about this. He said, I'm going to Newcastle, so everybody else sort of went, well, I don't want to go to Newcastle to take on Grant. So they, for example, like it's Merlin, will go this week to Menangle to race over 2,300 metres, and then Don Hugo goes to Menangle this week. If Grant wasn't going to this race, a Don Hugo, or maybe even a Merlin, goes there to win their way straight into the Miracle Mile, because this qualifies you for the Miracle Mile. So very smart from Grant. He's let them know where he's going. Now everybody else is thinking he'll win that, which means they all have to go to the Preludes coming up, not this Saturday, but the Saturday after.
It's interesting versus the old days that you actually have to qualify now. So say a horse like Merlin, there's a bit of pressure on there.
Yeah, absolutely there is. You've got to run 1, 2, 3, and obviously the winner of the Chariots goes through, and last year Sooner the Better got through by virtue of his second place in that. But the Newcastle Mile is a good pathway, I think, Michael. I think it will give him a terrific chance of going back-to-back in the Miracle Mile, and from his barrier draw this week of 5, he should be able to bully his way to the front, and therefore, even sitting parked, he should be too good for them.
Yeah, I think so, Greg. It's really hard to see him not winning the Miracle Mile if you give him a neutral draw. Of course, last season he was the first horse to come. I think it was barrier 6 he overcame last year. But if he gets out to 7 or 8, then it becomes a bigger issue. The question now is, does Swayze turn up at the Miracle Mile? Or after his defeat last week at Albury, does he miss the Miracle Mile, which is probably less than ideal for him, and still try and win the extra 500,000 still available in the bonus at Penrith, which comes 6 days after the Miracle Mile? Or in fact, being Swayze, does he do both? So we saw this a bit earlier in our highlights reel. Swayze beaten by Captain Hammerhead. For people who don't watch a lot of the Carnival of Cups in New South Wales, this was the worst possible thing that could happen to Swayze, because he won the first 3 races, so he's guaranteed a $250,000 bonus, but there weren't any really good open class potential Grand Circuit horses at any of those races. So he could just come sit parked and beat Sierra, and he would have done that again the other day. But Captain Hammerhead, the horse who got relegated in the Shepparton Cup, not only did he get into the race, so this raised the level of performance Swayze needed, but crucially David Moran got him in front of him at the start. And that meant Swayze, who didn't seem to be enjoying the track too much, had to work on a track he didn't like against a better horse than he's seen in the other Carnival of Cups races. Of course, it's an odd version of revenge, because that defeat, no matter what happens at Penrith on March 14th, is going to cost the Swayze connections $500,000. They can still win 500, but they can't win the whole million. Of course, go back 3 or 4 years ago, and David Moran drove the winner of the Inter-Dominion for Luke McCarthy. There was an inquiry, and back then when Jason Grimson wasn't somebody we knew at all, Bonsell Benjamin got promoted to first and cost Dave Moran the Inter-Dominion. It's taken 4 years to get some payback, fellas, but he did that last week in the Albury Murray Cup, and Swayze will head to Penrith and probably win 500,000, but he can no longer win $1 million.
Yeah, it's a long time to wait, isn't it, to get yourself a little bit of payback. Do you think he's a Miracle Mile horse,
No.
Swayze?
No, I don't think he'll be there.
Yep,
It's quite simply no, because he can't do what he does in those other races because they're going that hard.
Fair enough. Merlin on Saturday night. Michael, I guess he's got the advantage having been and seen and raced and been competitive at Menangle before?
Yeah, and the New Zealand horses who head to Menangle, and we saw this last week in the miles, they often get left behind. They don't go quick enough early, and mentally they take a run to adjust to it. But Merlin's race is over 2,300. That's crucial. The New Zealand horses, even the maidens who go to Menangle, have a significantly better strike rate, over 2,300 fresh up, than they do in the mile, because it's a lot more like what we do in New Zealand. But he is fresh up. He's up against Don Hugo, who, of course, over 2,300 here, has won the Inter-Dominion and the Eureka. I would think, gentlemen, second this week, considering how fresh he is, would be a hell of a big performance. If he can beat Don Hugo this week, fresh up over 2,300 at Menangle, then he becomes the second biggest threat, or the biggest threat and second horse to beat in the Miracle Mile. I think Merlin could be in for a massive 2025, but I just wouldn't be backing him this week, because I believe Don Hugo will probably get in front of him, and then I don't see too much pressure in the race.
What does his pathway kind of look like for the next couple of months?
2,300, obviously this week, then goes to the Mile Preludes next week. So there's those 2 Preludes Greg mentioned earlier, then into the Miracle Mile. And of course the Miracle Mile is 4 weeks to the Race by Betcha, which is now on the 4th of April. So I think a lot of the Race by Betcha horses will actually start on that Flying Mile the week before. I think most of them did last year. I'm not sure Leap to Fame will, but I think the rest of them might. But Greg, you know Grant Dixon. I wouldn't be stunned if he decided to turn up at Cambridge a week before if there's no race at Albion Park. So that would be a huge assistance to the club. And I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere, hiding in the fine print, there might be a little bit of a bonus coming up in that mile race the week out from the Race by Betcha. But that's yet to be revealed, I believe.
Yeah, I'm hearing something similar, Michael, so we look forward to that coming out on the box seat. I reckon he would start the week before. Nothing like giving your horse a bit of a sighter, is it? So it wouldn't surprise me at all. He won't be wanting to leave any stone unturned when he gets here to New Zealand finally, and yeah, I could see him in that.
Michael, Don't Stop Dreaming made his way out to the home of Kiang Zahara, Terang, and he was successful there.
Isn't it been funny with Don't Stop Dreaming? He's been so good when he's good, and so meh when he's nah. over the last 13 months. And this is a prime example. He's won 3 races, and this is another one. So it's 4 in the last 14 months. And when he wins them against sometimes not the best horses, he just reminds us how good he can be, but he just doesn't seem to be, I don't know, maybe it's the leap to fame Swayze factor. Maybe he is just coming up against great horses in New Zealand Cups and Hunter Cups. Take those 2 Australians out, he would have won both these races, and we'd be calling him a champion. But I think it's an interesting 2025 for him, Greg. I think he's going to need to start winning more races and have a better strike rate for us to remember him as being as good as we probably thought he was going to be 18 months ago.
Yeah, I agree with you, Michael, and I do think that his confidence levels are up now. He needs to perform like he did on New Zealand Cup Day, because don't forget, he went very close to beating Swayze and allowing Swayze, of course, to get his second cup.
I don't think we can be too hard on him. Have you seen the size of the pool we
Oh,
follow?
he hasn't grown.
He's so small.
Just,
Like, he's probably doing a phenomenal job for the size of him. You don't often see horses of his size, maybe barring
Not
a Courage
by
Under
Peter
Fire,
Yep.
go to war and still kick on like he has. This New Zealand Cup run was outstanding, but you're right, to win one of those big races, he's going to need your Leap to Fames and Swayzes to have a tough run, and he's going to have a soft run. But we're in the home run of the box seat. After this short break, we'll take a look at a couple of races and find out what the gents have found as their best bets of the weekend. Don't go anywhere.
Exactly what I'm looking for.
Masterly's gone to the lead, and Masterly will win again. She's going to sustain a good run and be too good. Tokyo Rose. Dance Till Dawn. Dance Till Dawn will win it.
Grease Lightning Invisible. Grease Lightning for the first. It's Ultimate Racy Girl, Harrison Orange. Brilliant drive.
Picking up the pieces is
Savannah slipping right up on the passing lane for Reese and Savannah.
who's gonna build it back. But I ain't got a guy for that. Ain't got a guy for that. Ain't got a guy for that. Ain't got a guy to the way that.
Here's what's coming up this week in New Zealand harness racing. On Thursday, it's a dual code night at the Addington Raceway with a 9-race card. It's Friday night lights with 9 races from Alexandra Park. We also catch the last 7 races from Cromwell. Saturday harness action is back on trackside too, as the Ashburton Trotting Club host Ashburton Cup Day. The weekend wraps up on Sunday with day 2 for the Wyndham Trotting Club at Cromwell. Palmerston North has a twilight meeting with race 1 kicking off at 5:29. Catch all the action on trackside or trackside.co.nz.
And there's a few markets already out on tab.co.nz. Let's get straight into those with Alexandra Park. We're going to have a look at a couple of races from there. First of all, Michael, Guerin is the first on the program, and Without You seems to have trialled up well and is open favourite.
And finds itself in the right race with the right draw over B-Tastic. You would imagine B-Tastic, who would be on an Oaks campaign, won't be hustling and bustling early from out there. So Without You, actually a strange one, guys. We've got a whole lot of markets open, which is so cool. It's such a lot earlier than we used to have for harness racing. But I reckon we've got about 6 or 7 odds-on chances at Alexandra Park. We wouldn't have had many of those or a meeting with that many odds-oners for a very, very long time. So a lot of those $1.80, $1.90 top chances. The question is, which ones are you more confident about and which ones are you confident to multi? I would suggest this is one you do put in the multi.
I reckon we can find another marker, Nathan Purdon runner, in the latter stages of the program at Alexandra Park as well to put through that multi that Michael Guerin's just given you leg number 1 for. Let's have a look at race number 5 here. Michael, Always Be You, taking good support off the pole.
Yeah, I think a lot's going to depend here on the draw. Good run last time behind a very good horse. But there's horses here like Claude or Rough and Ready. If they decided to go forward, they could be really, really hard to hold out early. Then they could set the race up for a 2IC, who won well last time, or La Major. Tricky race. I like the race. I don't like it as a betting race. There has been one move in the last couple of hours, guys. There was a horse who trialled really well the other day. It's in race 4. It's called Ragnar Lothbrok. It's actually a very strong maiden race, but it's got dreadful form. It follows out one of the favourites, but I think it's way, way better than maiden grade. It's been 8 to 6.50 in the last couple of hours. It won't start anywhere near 6.50 on Friday night.
Ragnar Lothbrok. Okay, we'll lock it in, Michael. Put that in the black book and I'll give you that Alexandra Park winner, hopefully, with my best bet of the week very shortly. Greg, we're going to Cromwell, the Fruit Bowl, 2-day meeting down there, one of the most glorious places you could go in New Zealand, and their feature race on the program is the McNulty's Transport Handicap, where, most importantly, the winner of this won't get re-handicapped for day number 2. Can Homebush Lad add another one?
Oh, I think he can. It was a tough run for him on Sunday in the Gore Cup. If he has come through that well, perfect sort of race for him. Miraculous is a really good horse. It missed Gore last week. Pinseeker's in there on Sunday. It was in the nominations anyway. Be interesting to see if he goes there Sunday. He'd be hard to beat in that cup.
Michael, are you a Homebush Lad fan? You would have written a few articles about him in your time. He's now an 11-year-old.
Well, I'm a Westport fan, Matt. It's one of my favourite meetings of the year I never go to. So, yes, I am a Homebush Lad fan. I couldn't believe it's the same horse. I saw him win a couple of weeks ago and I thought, is that the horse who used to race for the Hopes? Because I thought surely he's been retired by now. Just talking about the Hopes, remarkable story this week. Ben Hope gets back on Midnight Dash. When you think Midnight Dash, because it's at Addington on Thursday, you think Ricky May. Midnight Dash has won 13 races and Ben Hope's won 12 of them, and Ricky May didn't win the other one. So it's remarkable how your mind plays tricks on you. You think Ben Hope Muscle Mountain, you think Ricky May Midnight Dash. Ben is back on Midnight Dash this week and he's won 12 of his 13. I'll buy you boys a beer if you can guess who won the other one.
Maddie Williamson?
Gregory?
North Island, maybe?
Craig Thornley. No beer. No beer for you.
Fair enough. We've got the Highgain Revel Douglas Memorial Junior Drivers Series, which continues at Cromwell, and I thought Deceptive Lee, Greg, would be terribly hard to beat here at 3.20 off a really good draw. Taktina's been back to the trials.
Yeah, and is more than capable of going close in this race. I'd be happy to have something on Takter.
Michael, for you in the boys' race at Cromwell?
Look, I've always been I like Deceptive Lee as a horse, but I haven't done enough form around the others to tell you to back it at 3.2. I thought they might have put it up 4.8, but I'll be honest, I didn't scan those markets because I wasn't sure they'd be open. So it's remarkable just how far we've come to think that the harness racing markets used to open at 9 o'clock on the morning of the race day.
Aren't we very grateful that they are now? And good luck to everybody who's making the trip down there. Have a safe one to Cromwell for the 2 days and all the very best of luck. Greg, did the best bet get home last? Yes, it did.
Best bet. You know that.
I know I did because I asked
finally
you.
Got one right. I'm actually going for a bit of value this week. Better Than Cash is the one I've gone for. This is him winning at Addington Raceway. Last week, luckless, went to go through the inside, wasn't a gap there. Look, it's a pretty handy sort of field, but he's $7. I reckon he's definitely an each-way chance. Okay.
Well, you're not here next week, so it won't
matter.
Won't matter.
Who cares?
You are, though, Michael. You're going to be joining me here in the studio next week, which will be good. Who have you got as your best?
Funny enough, I think that race Greg's tipping in is a belter of a race. It's going to be a beauty. I've gone for Lincoln Lou. I just think he finds himself in the right race. I must admit I was hoping for $2. I do my tips before I look at the market, and he just finds himself in a race where he's down. I know he's not technically down 10 rating points, but the horses he's been racing are way, way better than the horses he's racing this week. A little bit of a concern because he's best driven with a sit, but I think he could be driven differently this week and still win. So if you take my horse into Gregory's, we'll get about $11 or maybe $13. What about you, Matthew? What have you got? As I see, this would probably be the Wales one, Hillbilly Blues. Again, one of these just under odds-on chances which dominate Alexandra Park this week.
I'm going to stick with the same theme, I think, here. Michael Mark and Nathan Purdon will line up Demon Blue in the middle part of the program. He's been back to the trials, nice quiet trial. Look, his record last preparation without winning a big one, he was in some good races and running some very meritorious ones at the same time. $1.85 his price. Now, I do enjoy it when you're in here, Greg, but I hope you have a good time when you're away. Your itinerary looks good.
Yeah, it should be a whole lot of fun. All three of you have tipped under $2 winners.
And you're on
week.
the $7
I'm
pot.
on $7.
And you may not be here next week and you might still get the last laugh.
Very much so. No, Emmy G will be sitting right here, so I'm sure it'll be a good show.
All right, have a good trip.
I will
Look
do,
forward
mate.
to seeing you when you get back. Michael, we'll catch you next week here in the house.
Looking forward to it, guys, and all that coverage on the Ultimate Drivers Challenge. I believe they're going to go huge on it over in Australia. Gregory, I know you're going to be there, so yeah, looking forward to settling in and watching it unfold. Look, like a game of battleships, or like maybe the NFL draft. It's going to be really cool to see all the machinations that go around it. So well done to Ladbrokes. It's a pretty cool idea and something I wouldn't have thought of.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Greg. And thank you for watching, and happy punting over the next 7 days. That's been your Box Seat. Catch you next Tuesday.